We talking again, we talking again. You now tuned in to the tap in. You now tuned in to the tap in. You now tuned in to the tap in. We talking again, we talking again.
God, thank you for this beautiful, wonderful day. God, bless it be this day. God, bless my circumstances. God, please take care and protect me and my family in this day. God, bless it be this day for me and mine. God, please help guide me and let me make the right choices in this day. God, please heal me on every level. God, please grant me help on every level. God, please give me all the attributes I need in order to be the best version of myself in this lifetime. Thank you.
Welcome to Jack in the Box.
You've got mail.
I never knew what I wanted to do with my life. But when a car crash on the 71 freeway caused my traumatic brain injury and left me with the mindset of an average 5-year-old, my life became a journey to find myself again and to rebuild on every level. Dear God, please turn my powerful spiritual electricity switch on. Amen.
You guys, this is Fidel Avendaño Jr. This is Talking Again podcast. We are here at the tap, or I'm here at the tap. Rosemary is actually in an undisclosed location, but she won't say where. I've already asked her millions of times. She won't tell me. But no,
a mystery place.
the mystery place. Thank you for allowing me to, or giving me some of your time here to interview you.
My pleasure. I'm excited.
Rosemary is the author of this book. I've been posting a few times already about this one here. San Gabriel Valley Girl. There's a subtitle to it. Fighting to be me again. So again, thank you for coming on. We were going crazy about COVID and all these other things because it's the elephant in the room. We have to talk about it. This is one of the reasons why we're doing this virtually, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So
I would be there in your studio if it weren't for this reason. Yeah.
maybe part two when you put out more material.
Yes.
I know there's more material, but we'll get to that at the end of the interview.
Yes, definitely. For sure.
Again, thank you for coming on and thanks for gracing me with your time.
Of course.
Uh, let's just get into it. What made you write this book? I read. If you guys haven't read the book, please read it. I highly recommend it. If you guys want to learn about a local girl, I mean, when I say local, Azusa, Covina, West. Well, you'll see. Well, you'll read the book and you'll see where she's just been everywhere. Um, but San Gabriel Valley,
County, huh?
yeah, right, LA County.
The San Gabriel Valley.
That's right.
Born and raised.
So that's why I say local girl, because it's very strongly I say, and I want to emphasize that you grew up here. This is our backyard. When you were telling stories about Jack in the Box and the Clancy's, and I'm like, wow, that's my backyard. That's right here. So I'm reading this book, and I'm like, wow, it's just kind of a little surreal, reading about that stuff. Thank you for talking about that stuff. It's pretty.
I
cool.
even mentioned Chatterbox. I give them a.
You did mention
Give them
Chatterbox.
a little shot. I said that's my second favorite part.
Chatterbox.
No, Chatterbox too. That was always that was always a cool bar to go to too.
Yeah, a lot of cool bars, a lot of cool areas out here. So you graduated 2000?
I was class of 2000.
2000, okay.
If you read my book, you'll see how there's a little detour in there, but
Right. Good old Fair Valley.
Yeah, and the book will explain more in detail why I went that route. I never wanted to go that route, but
yeah,
sometimes, when you're living your life and you're not making all the right choices as you're growing up in your high school, those are crazy interesting times, junior highs, the school years.
Yeah.
And I swore when I was in high school, I thought it would never end. I thought it would be light years away. I was like, when, like 4 years seemed like 50 years when
Yeah,
you're living in that day in time. And in those days in time, it feels like that.
yeah. No, from what I remember, again, us in high school, we weren't really friends. I think our circles maybe cross every once in a while,
Hmm.
and I definitely seen you around, and I remember you just being that Rosemary, that wild girl, that wildflower, just kind of out there, living life.
Bioflower too.
Have you?
Yeah.
There you
It's,
go. But yeah,
I
you're
was gonna
full.
start singing it, but I'm like, no, I'm not gonna go there right now. But yeah, I I loved life. I had fun, and I was very carefree in high school, and I was very laid back and chill, and um, I was I do miss that girl. I do miss I don't miss all aspects of her because she was young and immature, and she didn't always make the smartest choices. But I do miss that girl,
Yeah,
and some of her fearless, carefree ways. Um, Today, I'm still that girl. Even you, we still have that childhood person in us,
hmm
even since we were two or forever young. Um, but yeah, as we grow older and whatever obstacles and things life throws at us as a unique individual, we kind of we just we grow. Sometimes worries come upon us in which they didn't come, or in which they weren't there before, or fears and so forth. And my life story was, yeah, I was right before I graduated. I was 18 years old, and right before I was actually even able to get my adult education diploma
yeah,
is when I call it that tragic yet fortunate day
mm,
now, because it was very tragic what happened to me, but it was fortunate because I survived and I'm able to talk to you today.
yeah. And that tragedy you're talking about is obviously the major car accident that you had on the 71 expressway, on your way back, I believe.
Interesting is it's called the 71 Corona Freeway, which is weird because
Yeah,
my book was released in 2020, and then we're dealing with the coronavirus, and then my book is based on. I always found that interesting, to be honest with you, that my book came out this year, and what made me write it was that horrible Corona Freeway in my mind.
yeah. And now we have COVID-19, right? Corona 2020.
Yeah. Do you still drink Corona beer?
I definitely drink ice cold Corona
So
beers.
there's different Coronas, and they're not all bad.
Yeah, no, no, no. Um, but yes, it was a tragic moment. But even before all that, when I read your book, um, there's so much more. I would go as far as saying it was just a crazy life that you had. To you was normal. That's what you were used to. Uh, but for someone like me, that I grew up, here in West Covina, the city of Covina, where my parents, they sheltered us. I mean, my dad was always working 24/7. My
Mhm.
mom was with us all the time, and they kept us in this little bubble. So I didn't get to see a lot of the things that a lot of my friends now are talking about, all their struggles that they've went through. My struggle was I couldn't go to Disneyland every other weekend like my buddies did. That was my struggle. But I
That's
didn't live that weird, like that I don't say not weird, crazy life. And I say crazy life because it's just it was up in a roller coaster, you didn't know what was going on.
What's so interesting though, when I think about it, because we think about all the different lives in this world. Everybody's their own person. There's people born, in third world countries, or just everybody has. Think about all the people in the world and the way they're brought up. We don't really know everybody's personal story, but sometimes, like an event like this with me, like there was just something. It makes you just know that there's something out there. I don't, and I try not to, I don't, I just know there was something that just was telling me I need to write my story. I need to write
Yeah.
my story. And everything I've learned and everything I've gained, all the wisdom and knowledge, now. I mean, but I wouldn't be half the person I am today if I wouldn't have went through all of those torturous times. But before my car accident, even though yes, the life was crazy, I can you know, but it wasn't to me though, and it wasn't. I had the most loving mother in the entire world that anybody would dream of having. So, and I kind of try to make that a point in my book too. I wanted to write my full life story because I did have an interesting life before my car accident, and I wanted it to lead up to the car accident and then after. And and even though, but I never felt deprived for a second. I
Yeah.
never felt, I just always felt so loved. And I had my wonderful sisters, my mom, my grandma, um, some family was always close by. And then there was also my dad and his, I didn't see him as much, but I saw him. I
Mhm.
still was able to see him when I saw him. I loved being around my daddy. He was my daddy, and um, I loved him. And my grandma, my dad's mom, I was very close to her.
Yeah.
Oh God, she was the most wonderful lady. I always was blessed with two grandmas that were awesome, and so and my dad has a pretty big family, so I've always been really cool with them too. So there were definitely lots of weird scenarios and things that one might call odd. Um, but I guess I try to make the point that it's all about love. And then even when that's how powerful it is. Like you don't know anything is missing physically if you have so much love around you.
Yeah.
And I also contribute who I am today and how much I've healed and everything I've overcome was because of the love of my mom. She basically re-raised me when I was 18 because I had that traumatic brain injury that I had to endure with for several years, many, many years. And
Yeah.
it was, yeah, it's a crazy book. So you liked it. And
I
you
did like it.
you like to read.
There's it was a good it was, and I don't do much reading. This is honestly the first book that I've read in 2020, and we're already coming to an end.
Oh,
So
that's
yeah. And I told you I bought it on the Kindle, and I thought it was, again, I'm not a book guy. I'm thinking, cool, I'll listen to it on my way home or whatever while I'm driving.
oh,
It's not an audiobook, it's on Kindle. You got to read it. I'm like, I can't read this little screen. My eyes just, you can see my eyes are really small, right?
yeah.
The light just
No,
messes
I
it up.
can't see your eyes are small. I just
Yeah.
see eyes.
So I had to wait until my sister-in-law was done with the book. So when she finished the book on Saturday, I said, I need that book because I need that book ASAP. And I read it one night. I sat down and I just said, nobody talk to me. I'm gonna read this tonight. And I
You
did. So
read it all in one night.
I read it all night, one night, from 8 p.m. until 1 in the morning. Yeah,
Wow.
finished it. Yeah. And I'm
Wonderful.
glad I did though. I'm really glad I did. So I think that's when I'm gonna start reading my books from now on though. Um
I'm glad you read it too, and I'm really happy you liked it. Um, of course, it's a little scary. This is my first book, and I do love writing, like I said, and I've always been a storyteller, and I write my poems. But I and English was always my favorite subject too. Like in my book, I explain that too,
right.
and but I still, you don't know exactly how people are going to react. And I am letting myself so loose. I'm being so raw in so many areas of my life. I did, I did use alias names for privacy reasons. So a lot
Okay.
of the names in the book, you probably realized who were those people.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
was
know,
like,
maybe
I
you
don't
had
know.
an idea of who the fake names were.
That I didn't, but I did, going through the names. I'm like, I wonder who this Valerie girl is, it was too late. I wasn't gonna go on Facebook. I was determined to finish this. I'm like, I'm gonna go on Facebook and look for these people.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't do that though. Um, but That's cool. Yeah, yeah. So use the alias, but a lot of crazy little stories, or I should. I mean, there's a lot of stories in that book where you can. When I was reading it, I'm like, this is like a movie right here, or a lot of short stories in
You know
this book.
what? I want it to be. Part of my dream is for this book to become a movie.
Yeah. Oh, I think this has everything that a good movie, you know, makes. Like everything's in that book. My opinion, you can elaborate
Great
so
opinion.
much.
That's a great opinion.
Take that to the bank, right? No,
Yeah.
yeah, every little story, I think you can expand on it. Where I think it could even be series. Like you could have the TV series. SGV Girl. Uh, Going back to like little stories of the fake food. I put fake food in my notes, but it's the imaginary food, right? When had you guys had to share your meal with your sisters, but it was like
It was
imaginary,
an
pretend.
interesting day. It was an interesting time when we were visiting my dad. We used to visit my dad every other weekend and he lived in the desert. I think it was Lucerne Valley at the time. Yeah, and it only happened once, but it was
Right.
one of the incidences that stand out, and I'll never forget. But yeah, we in the book I explain when how just one day I was hungry and we were hungry and there was no and for some reason he said that he just couldn't get us food that night. But um, my grandma did live next door, so if he I mean, I didn't really know what was going on, but I always thought, well, maybe he was trying to toughen us up or something. My dad's a tough guy.
Yeah.
He's very like, and he's a good guy. He has a good heart, and he's always treated us girls wonderfully and loving. He just had his own problems,
Yeah.
that affected us and my mom in a way, obviously. But yeah, one day I'm like, please, I'm starving, and I just remember being so hungry. And he said, okay, well, me and my sisters, he just said, close your eyes. And that I do this a lot and it'll help you too. And at this point, we didn't really have much to anything else to you didn't have anything else to offer. So I gave him the benefit of the doubt and I closed my eyes and we went into this deep visualization. And that's the story you're talking about where he said,
Right.
imagine a big table full of all of your favorite foods. And I was about 9 or 10. I was probably 8 to 10. um, and I just remember closing my eyes and he guided me through this visualization and imagining it. And then he would tell us, to take a bite of the food and to just taste it in your mouth and feel it and actually feel it swallow down your throat and settle into your stomach. So it was like, it ended up being like a trance.
Yeah.
And so, and and then when it was over about 20 minutes later, it really my stomach stopped growling. I wasn't starving anymore. I was maybe I was still a little bit hungry. Like if food was there, I could have ate it, but it wasn't bothering me anymore. And that visualization really worked. And it's interesting now too, because now in this day and age, um, a lot of people know about visualization and imagining things and how it can benefit you for your health or for your career, for whatever aspects, when you visualize of things you want or and visualization has a lot of power in it, and I've learned about that to this day.
Yeah.
And but that was my first experience with visualization.
Yeah. You're someone that does a lot of visualization, a lot of meditation. So for you, saying that was your first experience, that's a very beneficial thing, for one to do that, to sit with your own mind, because we were talking about that earlier, is how powerful that it is, your mind, where you can just, it'll overtake any feeling that you have and just, put it aside and take on its own little thing. It's so powerful.
Yes, it's the mind. yeah, and when I was going through all those, those tormenting years of, do you notice how I mentioned the accident rosemary and the old
The
rose?
old rosemary.
Yeah, the old rosemary was, obvious was the pre-accident, and then the accident rosemary was the at the time the fucked up crazy rosemary that you know wasn't I couldn't I couldn't think, I couldn't comprehend, I couldn't, I just, but the interesting thing was I knew that Rosemary was like, I missed her so much, but so I had to, it was like for many years it really was like living in a mental prison, because for so many reasons. I just all of a sudden one day a horrible car accident. My car stalls on the freeway. I fly 30 feet into the carpool lane because our car stalled and the car hit us from behind. My car door was open. I was ejected through my car door and I flew 30 feet into the carpool lane. I was airlifted to Loma Linda Trauma Unit. I was in a coma for 3 days. And when I did awake, when I awoke from my coma, I just had the mindset of an average 4 or 5 year old.
Yeah.
And it was just, that was the beginning. And at that point though, I, I didn't know any better. So it wasn't hell yet. And I don't know if you were able to grasp this in the book, but I talk about the cloud.
Right. Yeah.
And so for the first year and a half or so, I
Like
was
18 months. Yeah.
I was just like this crazy girl who had no attention span, and I just talked, and I was in la la land, and nothing mattered. My mommy took care of me, and I was just this little girl again. You could have told me my name was Marilyn Monroe, like I said in the book, in the year
Right.
1959, I would have believed you. But then but I had this cloud that just covered my brain. That's the best way to describe it. It was like being smothered by a cloud.
Yeah.
So it was very uncomfortable, but at the same time that protected me from meeting the accident Rosemary, or excuse me, from knowing the old Rosemary, because I didn't really know any better at that point. And then so when my mom had taken me to the neurologist, and the neurologist and said, Rosemary has this cloud and it's driving her crazy, but luckily I was so like, oh, loopy loo, I didn't,
Yeah.
I was able to, it was okay. And then the neurologist had explained to me this cloud, one day you'll just wake up, probably in a year or two, you'll wake up one morning and the cloud will be gone. And it sounded wonderful, but he let me know something that stuck with me to this day. And if it wasn't for him helping me, knowing what to expect, he helped me. That neurologist probably didn't know how much he helped me, but he did tell me, he said, when she wakes up and this cloud does go away, he's like, that's when reality is going to set in. And that's when it's not going to be fake anymore. She's going to start to understand, she's going to be able to comprehend more, but she's still going to have many stages to go through. And she's going to feel like trapped inside of her brain, because she's going to remember the old Rosemary, but she's not going to be able to touch her really. She's not, because she's the fucked up accident Rosemary.
Yeah. It
The very
sounds almost like born again, or like I'm sorry, born again, or out of body experiences, like where
out
you,
of body at its finest.
right, right. It's like I never done it, but I've heard stories of like people that do ayahuasca trips, right? Or they do ayahuasca tea and they get the trip.
Oh yeah, I've heard of those too.
So I mean,
Seen them
really,
do it. I think it was, yeah, one of those. I've seen people do it on camera. And
yeah, that or like or a mushroom trip, where you're just kind of like you're out here and then you can kind of see inside of you that it seems like it was just years and years of a big bad trip for you. How far apart is the old Mary to the accident Rosemary?
when
How
the cloud lifted.
No, I'm sorry. How far apart are you guys from as far as your character now? Like,
Oh
did anyone improve Rosemary?
yeah. So, oh gosh. Well, fast forward, my accident was February 17th, 2001, and it's almost, 2021. So it's been almost 20 years. It'll be 20 years this upcoming February.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, the accident, Rosemary, doesn't exist at all except in my memory.
Mm-hmm.
And she's part of me no matter what. She's part because, when I was turned 18 and I was planning on starting a life, I was all of a sudden just, I was just, I don't know, I didn't even know who I was for about a year and a half. And then when the cloud lifted and I was the accident Rosemary and I got to know her, that's when I started to realize, oh God, like this is how, because it was very horrible. Like it was, I couldn't, like Rosemary was me and she was my best friend and she was me.
Yeah.
But then she just left me and she just left me and and she just was no it was really it's a really weird experience because you just all of a sudden you just feel stupid and
Mm.
you feel well my head flew 30 feet and landed on a pavement. So
Right.
and what's interesting is well, I could always go off onto tangents, which I probably shouldn't. But my
That's
sister, as
that's
you know,
exactly what my podcast is. Oh.
oh, it goes off onto tangents and
Oh
stuff.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, because when I did fly 30 feet, the most amazing and thing was my sister Desiree was with me that day, and
Right.
we just came back from this guy that I was talking to. He gave me an old Honda Prelude, and I had it for about 2 weeks. And I never drove on the freeway. And this particular day, we said, "Oh, we're going to visit my mom." She's always been manager at Seas Candy, and she was working at the Brea Mall at the time. And we went to go visit her. We had lunch, a late lunch. It was like 4 or so. We left the mall around 5 or 6 or whatever after shopping a bit, and that's when our car stalled, and we were like, "Oh my God, like what do we do? What do we do?" Because we were in the fast lane, and the sun literally was setting,
Oh
and I
yeah.
remember so it was that lighting,
Mm-hmm.
and cars were going around us, and we contemplated running across the freeway, and you
Wow.
know but the cars, they were coming too fast and we
Right.
just didn't feel we had a lucky break. So I guess my next reflex reaction was to open up my car door, and I kind of was standing out telling cars to go around me. I'm like, go around me, go around me. And in my heart I was just praying somebody would stop and help us out.
Right.
That was what I was praying for. So I had mentioned one of the lines I said in my book, at that at the, in those moments in time we were in the universe's cosmic hands, because we didn't know what was going to happen next.
Yeah.
And then one car just wasn't slowing down like the rest, and my sister Desiree, oh excuse me, you might have to bleep that out, my
Okay.
sister Destiny,
Mm-hmm.
um, my sister um, my sister she was like, Rosemary, this car's not stopping, and she told me to get back in the car, and I froze. So I was like half out of my car door was open, and I was like half out of the car, and my sister said I just froze, so I didn't put my seatbelt on even though she told me to. And then that's when
Yeah.
the car, he just didn't see us. He was a man in his 70s, and he just didn't see us. So he was going, the report, it's interesting, I still have the report to this day. I have the whole scenario. Even in my book trailer we have
Pictures of it. Yeah.
that, and
The illustrations.
that's the actual report of that day. And and he just didn't see us, and that's when he hit our car going 65, the report says, and that's when I flew 30 feet into the carpool lane. And the most amazing thing about this whole thing was that my sister was the only was fine. The back seats were over the front seats.
Oh
So if
wow.
anyone was in the back seats, I don't see how they could have made it.
Right.
And then my driver's seat, the seat was practically over the steering wheel. And so if I would have, and there, because no airbag went off, so I just don't see, if I had my seatbelt on, I would have been crushed.
Mhm.
I don't see myself, or being really crippled. I don't see myself living if I would have stayed in the car. But the angelic twist was my sister's seat was the only seat in the entire car that was untouched,
Wow.
just
Yeah.
like the same position it was in before. So she had really bad whiplash. But from her, she told me this later because I was obviously knocked unconscious. And she told at scene, and she told me that she just looked to her right and she said, Rosemary, Rosemary, where are you? And poor girl, can you imagine?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
yeah, that's just, now, like, of course, looking back and knowing just pure traumatic. Oh my gosh, I can only imagine what she went through, and tear
Well,
half herself.
I
And
think you have one of the lines was your she was on the phone with your mom and then she said, "How's Rosemary?" And she said, "Well, she moved."
yeah,
So that's a good sign, I guess.
she told me that she saw me and she thought I was dead, and she said that I had one leg over my head,
Wow.
and that I was and I just wasn't, I just looked dead, and I was beating, onto the asphalt. And so she finally, eventually, some nice couple, I just found this out recently after I wrote my book, which I didn't know yet. So I didn't add this in my book, but I found this out recently
Hmm.
from my sister, and she wanted me to know that that lady's phone she used in my book, there was more to the story. She told me that that there was a husband that was with this girl,
Hmm.
and sh cars was he saved Desiree because he there was cars coming or something, but he rescued Desiree and took her out of the car seat to make sure. So she's like, I wish, you would have put that in the book. And I was like, I just didn't know that story, but
Yeah.
like, that man saved me. So, but yes, so she called my mom at work,
Yeah.
and she said, my mom's like, hi. The answer C's, hi, welcome to C's Candy. How may I help you? And
Yeah.
then that's the classic C's answering.
Right.
And then she's like, Mom, we were in a car accident. And she's like, are you okay? And she's like, yeah. She's like, is Rosemary okay? And then my sister looked at me and she said, I like twitched. And she's like, yeah, she moved.
Yeah. Wow. That's a unfortunate story. Imagine just hearing that, being at work and just hearing that story too. But yeah, your mom in this book, you said you made an effort to really showcase and highlight your mom, but yeah, she's like I had her in my notes here. She's a real MVP, right?
Yeah,
Like Kevin Durant would say, the real
a
MVP.
real MVP, a
Yeah.
real super mom,
Hmm.
a real Wonder Woman,
Yeah.
a real, my mom was awesome. Before I forget though, so I don't lose the tangent, because I know I went off on a tangent. You asked me what about the accident girl and who I am today.
Right. Yes.
But fast forward, 20 years, I have a chapter in my book called Rosemary Reunites with Rosemary,
Hmm.
and that was in 2010. So that's when I really felt myself coming back. And but but that was even 10 years ago. So who today, oh my gosh, I can't even I can't even tell you how much I love myself, and how grateful and appreciative I am of everything, everyone. And I the person I am today, oh my gosh, I my memory is incredible today. I remember, my memory is incredible.
Yeah.
The things, I am a fast learner. I just I just it's amazing. Like, it's almost like everything I went through and all of the hell, it's one day fast forward made my mind kind of like a super mind
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, because, and just the love, I wouldn't be half as wise and half as loving today if it wasn't for everything I've been through. So I don't regret a single thing that's happened to me in my past that was been negative. And there was a lot of other negative things that happened that I don't have in my book, but also a lot of wonderful things and great things that weren't in my book.
We talked a little earlier about COVID-19, right? As in high school, did we ever think of us living, through something like this, like COVID-19? did you at any point in your life think that you'd be writing a book? Because we talk about the experiences that we lived through are who we are today.
Mhm.
Uh, did you ever think that? Like,
No, no. I just knew that I loved writing poetry and songs, and I was always that. I wrote my first song or a little melody came to me when I was 10. And me and my sisters, they know all my songs because I would always make everyone listen to them. And it was called "You Are the Key,"
mhm,
and um, and uh, and I just know it was just always that kind of writing. And I loved learning, and I loved English. I did love writing, but no, I never thought I would write a book, to be honest with you, until until in my book I think I mention it in 2009 when I was living at the Highland Park place.
mhm.
I had the idea. I was with Fabio.
Oh yeah, Fabio, that guy.
Look at Fabio.
That guy. Nobody likes Fabio.
Good thing it's an alias name. I wonder where Fabio is today.
Yeah,
I don't care. But I could have sworn though that I saw him. Oh my god, I saw somebody look exactly like him. I'm like, oh no,
yeah. Oh
wasn't
my
it?
god. But yeah, that's when you got the idea of
Slater wasn't
starting.
good either. Slater wasn't. Slater was pretty bad too.
Yeah. There's like I say you could write a book of all the. I think Rosemary was into Bad Boys. I think Rosemary was into Bad Boys. That's for sure.
I didn't. I didn't even really, but I didn't know really. I didn't know what a bad boy really was until I went through the different relationships.
Knowing what a bad boy is today, would you say your boyfriend today is he a bad boy?
Oh no,
Totally
he is
opposite.
the best. He is. Yeah, he is not a bad boy. He's a good boy,
There you go.
and he treats me wonderfully. And I've never been treated so well in my life.
Yeah.
So he is. I definitely found a good boy. Um, and there was that one good boy. My first boyfriend I ever had was a good boy. Remember I talk about him?
Yeah. Wait,
Uh,
I'm trying to think.
he's
There's so, there were so many, Rosemary. Just
Ezekiel.
kidding.
Ezekiel. He was the one.
Ezekiel. Yes, that's
He was
right.
the one before my car accident, and
Yeah.
he was the one who wrote a song about me, and he was such a nice guy and everything. But I was immature and young, and so I didn't basically appreciate him the way I should have. And then he cheated on me and let me know that I didn't. I should treat him better. I kind of
Yeah.
remember we talked about that, or I talked about that, and so
Yeah.
and then yeah, he doesn't want anything to. Yeah, he. I don't know. I would like to be able to just like say like I'm sorry for things I did when I was in high school before my accident when I didn't treat him the best. I wasn't like really nice to him. We had good times, but we're immature and young, and I like to party sometimes, and I don't know. I guess I wasn't the best girlfriend, but I mean,
Yeah. Do you still
I
have
didn't treat him like Slater and Fabio treated me, but I
no.
mean, I just wasn't like, who knows? I don't even
Yeah.
know.
Do you still have any kind of relationship with some of the friends that you mentioned in your book? Like uh
Only Giselle.
say it again?
Giselle.
Oh, okay.
Giselle.
Yeah.
She's the only one that I am still friends with today. Dakota in the book,
Hmm.
she was, there was actually, yeah, she was a bitch in the end.
Oh.
She was a real bitch.
Yeah, yeah.
She
Well,
well, yeah, and you see and you think, oh yeah, and I know about that one chapter. I was obviously a bitch, and so I admit I deserved what I got.
yeah.
And
The naked
but
beatdown.
the naked beatdown,
Yeah.
yeah, and because I did an unlawful act,
Yeah.
and um, but she really just wasn't a nice person in the end, and I actually was friends with her for a while. Dakota, she
Hmm.
became friends with me after my car accident. We stayed in touch, but she didn't treat me nice when I had my brain injury. Like I would say, I haven't had my brain injury for. I healed, like I said, back in 2010, but it's always just getting better and better from then
Right.
on, and just learning more and more. But but I'm definitely back and better than ever. I wouldn't, like I told you, I wouldn't be half as loving and wise as I am today, because wisdom, I feel like words don't teach. Life experience teaches, you know? Like words, you can listen to words and you can
Right.
hopefully pick up on them. And I love teaching people and I love helping them, and I love teaching them just the ways of um, how energy and frequencies and all this stuff works, which I talk about in my second to last or chapter about learning and evolving. I just wanted to, know everything there was about like why we're here on planet Earth, and why some good things happen to some people and why bad things happen to other people, and just why everything seems unfair. But there's almost like it's basically, it's kind of like, I guess it's like the law of physics. And it's
Mhm.
like I learned that the universe doesn't choose favorites. The universe responds to vibrations. But remember, it wasn't always bad. I had just as many good stories.
Right.
I can't tell them all though, because it would take like
It'd be
probably a
this
lifetime to
big of a
read.
book. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
But
well, just like you said, there might be a part two or a part three, but I know that you did say that you have some poetry coming out.
my
Uh,
second book is going to be my poetry essay book.
there you go.
um, that's where that's where my heart has always been, in poetry. What did you think of my poem at the very end of my book? It ends with the poem. Did you read it?
Yeah, I did. I read it.
Oh, my wonderland.
It was like again, it was 1 a.m, so I was like, oh wow. But no, you know what? I think well, first of all, I can't wait to read that poetry book. I'm definitely gonna get that one too because I love just, reading poems. That was actually some of my first reads because I was never a book guy. But when I did pick up books, it was poetry because they're short and I can read them, pick them up and read them every once in a while, and those are pretty good. But no, I want to thank you because I know we're running out of time and I don't want to take up too much of your time. But I want to thank you for coming on. Uh, we said a lot. We learned a lot. If you guys didn't, you guys need to check out her book. Pick it up wherever you can.
Yeah,
It's
I would be honored, and I promise you guys that my life story, it's entertaining, right? It's
oh
entertaining,
yeah,
and the cool thing I like about reading is I'm able to speak through my heart and my spirit, so I can put my emotions down on paper without even thinking about it. It just comes. So I try to convey as much to the reader and put you in my body or my.
it definitely translates like that. It definitely does. I couldn't put the book down. That was one of yeah. I,
Awesome. That's so wonderful. Thank
no, that's I'm really I'm being honest because not that I had a crunch time and I wanted to finish it, but I really didn't want to put it down.
Oh, thank you so
So
much. That makes me feel so great.
yeah.
And I want to help people. And just one more thing before we go to
Mhm.
is I'm a teacher and a healer, and I want to help as many people around the world better their lives. And I want to just let you know, you even if you want to give up on life, because as you know in my book too, there was many times I wanted to take my own life, and I even
Mhm.
tried one time. But if you just I want to help. I just want to help. That's why I'm here. I'm here to help as many people as I can, just to live a happier life, and to let you know, just don't give up.
Yeah. There you go. Thank you. I've learned so much just from the book and then from this conversation. I learned a lot
You.
about myself that I know I need to work things that I need to work on, and I know I'm going to. So
Oh, thank
especially
you.
with my parents, because that's another one of those things. They don't know. Like I was telling you that they kept us in this bubble, but they did it for us, and I'm
Yeah.
very thankful for that. And I've never told them. So I'm definitely gonna reach out to them, especially now more than ever. So again, I thank you for that, and yeah, I look forward to talking to you again pretty soon. Hopefully, and then maybe in studio when all
Yes,
this clears up. So
and it will
yeah,
sooner than later.
there you go. We got to speak it into existence, right?
Speak it into existence. But also remember too, I learned too, we can't, if we feel that we're lying to ourselves, like we have to be gradual with ourselves, because it's about the belief I learned too, because a lot of times I used to just think we could just speak. Yeah, you want to speak it, and I say affirmations daily, but if you really don't believe it, like being that, you just have to be positive. I
Yeah.
like meaning like this, like if my mom used to be like, or they'd be like, oh, I have more money, and like you're just gonna get more money, and it's not like necessarily that easy, because if you don't really believe you're gonna get it, you're not just gonna get it. So you just be gradual,
Yeah.
and slowly but surely, like in my book, slow and steady really does win the race.
It does. There you go. Well, there you have it.
Speaking positive words is awesome. It's
Yep.
just great.
There she is, Rosemary Montoya. This is Talking Again podcast. We're out. Adios.
Hi.
Hosted by Fidel. Tell it like it is, only tell it real. Live every Tuesday, you know the deal. We talking again. You now tuned in to the tap in. You now tuned in to the tap in. You now tuned in to the tap.